Wow. The beauty of that song is, I love how this works. This is synchronicity. That song ties in with my talk title. Dare to dance and dream. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. I wish I may, I wish I might have this wish I wish tonight. Is there anybody who's not ever done that? Come on, who's wished upon that star? I can't be the only one. And I just wonder sometimes how many of those wishes are answered and how many of them are not answered. And then I wonder, what's the difference between those wishes and the dream? The dream that each of us has put on this earth to pursue. The dream that is instilled in us from the divine. That dream that could lead us to heights we never dreamt of. That dream that could make us focus so intently on something that we leave all the small thoughts, the small wishes and wants and desires. And that's what I think the wishes are, that twinkle, twinkle, little star type. I think the wishes, wants, and desires are just this endless chain of things that pass through our minds. Or maybe that's just me. Maybe that doesn't happen to anybody else. But I have this endless stream of things coming through. Some of them are little and kind of, not too energetic. I mean, it's like, gee, I wish it would rain. Gee, I wish it would stop raining. Gee, I wish the neighbors weren't so loud. Gee, I wish the cat would stop spilling the milk. And others of them, did I mention, gee, I wish I had $1 bazillion? And others of them are like bigger than that and they're way more emotional, kind of along the lines of, that person, I just wish. And of course we don't really. And fortunately in those moments, it's a good thing that this endless chain of small wants, wishes, and desires does just pass through and doesn't stay with us. The difference is, the dream is big, and the dream pulls us. We all know somebody who's been driven, that person's driven to do this, driven to do that. People who are driven to do those sorts of things, I don't believe that they're following their dream, because I think if you're driven, you're working kind of from the personality, from the ego kind of place, where you just want something and you want it for your own personal reasons, but the dream is big. And the dream is for reasons other than just personal gain generally. I think another thing about dreams, as opposed to wants and wishes and desires, is I think that the dream is instilled in us, like I say, by the divine. We don't have any choice about it, and I think it's in all of us. I think it's in everybody. And we may choose to pursue that dream. We may choose to recognize it and to put our spiritual energy into following it, into achieving it, into reaching that dream. And when we do that, really nothing can stop us. Lots of things can stop us from the little wants, wishes, hopes, desires like that. We can be stopped from that. But we're not going to be stopped from that dream, because that dream that's in our heart, and it is in our heart. Dreams are in the heart. Dreams are not in the head. They're not in the mind. Dreams are in the heart. And they carry our spiritual DNA with them. Kind of like the genetic information that's held within a seed. That's what our dream in our heart has. And like the seed, we have to nurture and provide the appropriate conditions for the dream to come to bloom. So there's a story about two seeds. They're sitting side by side on the dirt. And the one seed says, wow, I want to grow. I want to shoot my roots down into the earth, and I want my stem to come up tall and straight and proud. And I want to have petals, and I want to feel sunshine on my beautiful flowers. And I want to feel the dew on my petals. I want to be all that I can be. And the other seed said, well, I'm not sure. I think I want to wait a little bit. I want to make sure that the conditions are right. I want to make sure that, everything's ready to go. I want to make sure that nothing can get in the way here. And so he did. He waited until a chicken came along and pecked him off the ground. Okay, so we don't have to let our dreams not come true because a chicken pecked them off the ground. We can pursue them full tilt. We can go full out, can we not? And that's our purpose. Our purpose here on this planet is to further this planet and everything pertaining to it. As long as, I made a mess over here, but as long as we put our spiritual power behind our dreams, probably they can't be stopped. Although it's said that 1 out of 10 really comes to fruition, but that only means that lots of people haven't put the appropriate power behind it. And if we just do that and then make a little bit move forward every day in the direction of that dream, we're going to see it fulfilled. No less a person, Henry David Thoreau, remember, said, if a person is to march confidently in the direction of his dreams, and, isn't there always an and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, then he will reach a success unheard of in common hours. Wow. That's like the dream come true scenario for sure, isn't it? So I ask you, is that supernatural? No. I don't think so, and neither does Ernest Holmes, founder of Science of Mind, our leader. He says in the text, Science of Mind, that we live in a spiritual universe, that God is in, through, around, and for us. There is nothing supernatural anywhere, on any plane. That which today seems to us supernatural, after it is understood, will be found spontaneously natural. But the dreams are big, right? They pull you. They don't allow you to get caught up in little mundane things. You're going to be surprised to hear I have another quote from Ernest Holmes coming up. Really, in this thing called you, in fact, let me just go to it. Because in this thing called you, he says, your creative power is not an act of will. Because that's the question. Do we accomplish our dreams by willing it to be so? And Ernest Holmes says, no, it's not an act of will. It is rather an act of your willingness to believe. And you are believing in something greater than your objective self, something deeper than your subconscious self, something beyond the collective thought of the world. Your creative power comes from the originating spirit itself, which knows no limit, is conditioned by no circumstance, and governed by no law outside of itself. So just say to yourself that which has no limit is flowing through my consciousness into action. I am guided by the same intelligence and inspired by the same imagination which scatters the moonbeams across the waves and holds the forces of nature in its grasp. Wow. How would you beat that? But for a dream to be accomplished, I think it has to have two things. The only two things that are eternal. Okay, it has to be built on something eternal. For a dream to be built on something that we're doing this week, this month, this year, this lifetime, this century, I don't think that's enough, because as we know, all those things change. They go away, they disappear. But if it's built on a foundation that's meant to last, that is eternal, then we're heading truly in the direction of a dream. One of those things, the first thing is, in order for it to be eternal and everlasting, it has to be truth with a capital T. All the great religions and the great sages have always told us, and it's just the way it says in the Bible, heaven and earth shall pass away, but the word of God, which is truth, will last forever. So if it's based upon truth, we can be pretty certain that it has to do with the dream, not with a want, wish, or desire. The second thing that's eternal that needs to come into play here is us. Not us. You know, not this body, this personality, this persona, this facade. Not, Bill or Ron or Bob or Mike. But that eternal us. That essence of who we are. That endless part of us. That divinity. That I am. That I am. That I am that you are. That I am that each of us is. So if it's built upon the foundation of truth and built upon our very essence at the soul level, then it's bound to last. It's something that we now know can be a dream. Okay, so we know what dreams are. They're the big things. How do we get there? My suggestion is we dance to our dream. And I don't mean that to be flip. I mean that we dance. We waltz across everything that would seemingly be in our way to accomplish our dream. Can we do this dance alone? Say no. Probably not. And we know about dancing, right? If you see two people dancing and they both want to lead, how's that going to work out? It gets a little messy, kind of a little jerky, a little not spontaneous. But when one person leads and the other person follows with attention and intention, then the dance goes smoothly. It's like the two bodies become one, and they just one fluid motion dancing around the room. And I think that's the way it is when we choose to surrender to and allow Spirit to be our partner. And let Spirit take the lead in this dance. Because really, dreaming is divine guidance. Is it not? That dream's been put in us. Our job is to sort it out and go after it. But we need guidance. We need the divine guidance. And when I think about guidance, funny how the last bit of that is that same word, isn't it? Dance. So I think about guidance, and I think about, starts with a G, then it's you and I dance. And then, if I just let that G stand for God, I've got God, you and I dance. Dance we do. Dance we must. I don't see any other way of making this. We don't throw ladders up in the sky anymore. We don't think about clouds being angels anymore. We know. We have to find that dream. We have to find that dream that's been implanted in us by the divine, by our Creator. And this whole world, this universe, everything around us, everything we see, everything that's ever been, this is the dance of the Creator. This whole thing, it's all a big dance. And when we dance, we can face pretty much anything, right? I mean, we can dance in any conditions. Life is not about waiting for the storm to pass. Life is about learning to dance in the rain. And when we're one with that Spirit who's leading this dance, we can dance through any seeming obstacle, negativity, anything untoward. We can dance through them. We can dance around them. We can dance over them. We can incorporate them, make them our partner, and dance with them. There's no end to the things that we can do. So to get to our dreams by dancing seems easy enough, does it not? But a question I have is this: do we dare? Do we dare to dance our dream? Do we dare to dance toward our dream? I say yes. What do you say? Yes. I say yes. Of course we do. Oh. What about the possibility of failure? What about if we fail? Well, I'm going to ask you, what about if we don't? Where would we be today if all the dreamers of the past had refused or declined to dream for fear of failing? Where would we be? We'd still be living in caves. And if there's any hope at all for the future of humanity, and for us achieving that state where we're all back together knowingly, we are all together as one in the divine mind. But to get to that state knowingly so, how are we going to do that if we don't attempt our dreams? And not just attempt, we need to go full after them. So do we dare? Yeah, I think so. And we can't let anything get in the way of that. Because when we have that spiritual power behind us, when we are united and dancing with the divine, we can't go wrong. Now, we can go wrong if we don't do that. Did I already mention to you about the eagle? Silly me. So it seems that there was an eagle's nest up in the tree, and the storm came and is whipping the tree around. And, well, this eagle's nest kind of gently bounces down one branch to another until it comes out on the ground, and it tips up a little bit. And this eagle egg rolls down this grass-covered slope and ends up in the chicken coop. Well, you know, mother hen, what they are, the mother hen grabs this egg, nurtures it, and coddles it, and brings it along, and pretty soon the eagle hatches. And the eagle looks around, all the other chicks are hatching too. And they just start pecking the ground. So the eagle starts pecking the ground. And he lives like this, right? He's born into a chicken family. He lives like he's one of them. And this goes on for a long time. And one day, he's out there in the chicken coop, and he looks up. And there's this group of eagles soaring in the sky above him. You know how eagles soar. And he looks up and he says, "Wow, I would really like to do that." And all the other chickens said to him, "What, are you crazy? You're a chicken. You can't do that. Forget it, kid. Put that thought out of your mind. Not going to happen." So the eagle gives one last glance, and then it goes back to pecking on the ground. Well, it lives several years, his whole life, in fact, and then the eagle dies in that chicken coop, never having realized the dream. He didn't recognize that pull, and he didn't fearlessly throw off all the shackles that bind him and go after his dream. So back to the bit about, is it a want, wish, desire? Is it a little thing, or is it the dream? There's a story about a revered teacher in India, and he's leading a group of students down the road, and there's ahead of him is this old guy, and he's leading a cow. Cow's got a rope around his neck, and the man's pulling it. And the teacher says, go surround that guy and his cow. I want to teach you something. Well, the man hears this, and he's thinking, I want to learn. This guy's a teacher, I want to learn. So he just stops while they surround him, and the teacher says to the students, who's in charge here? Who's in control here? Who's running this show? And the students say, of course, the man. The cow has to follow him all around. The man's the master, the cow's the slave, doesn't have any choice. He's going with him. He says, yeah. And he whips out his knife and he cuts the rope. And the cow scampers off. The guy goes on after it. And he says, what I want you to know is that cow had no interest in that man. Cow had no interest. Cow wasn't attached to that man at all. And as soon as it was allowed to be free, it roamed off. And now the man has a serious interest in the cow, so he's chasing after it. And that's kind of a metaphor for our thoughts. Because if we can cut the rope that keeps us tied to those small thoughts, to those little wants, needs, and desires, and just let them go, what's left is the real dream. And then we can focus on that. Because it's all about focus. If I had a maintenance yard over here deliver a great big long plank here, like a 2 by 10 inch plank, and said, let's walk across this plank, we'd all do it, wouldn't we? I mean, who wouldn't? We just get up and walk across the plank, because our focus would be on doing exactly that. But if I took this same plank and I put it up on the roof, and put it across the building, across the driveway on the roof, like 40 feet in the air, very few of us would make that walk. Because we'd be focused on falling. We don't want to focus on the falling. We want to focus on the dream. So as soon as we let all the rest of that stuff go by the wayside, not to say we live in a bubble, we still do the things we need to do every day, but we never lose sight of the dream. If you lose track of the dream, it wasn't a dream. You got to remind yourself every few days or weeks or months, oh yeah, I wanted to do that. That's not a dream. It's not big enough. Lewis Carroll is we're all wondering why I got this in my hand. Lewis Carroll wrote that marvelous thing, Through the Looking Glass. Remember that? And there's a story in there that's kind of apropos here. And it's about dreaming that impossible dream. Because if the dream doesn't seem impossible, probably not big enough. Think big. Dream big. Here's the thing about dreams, big dreams. At first, they seem impossible. And then when you couple with spirits to dance toward them, now they seem only improbable. And then once you practice your dance and you get it perfected, now that dream becomes inevitable. So, there's a conversation between Alice and the Queen, and it goes something like this. I can't believe that, said Alice. Can't you? The Queen said in a pitying tone. Try again. Draw a long breath and shut your eyes. Alice laughed. There's no use trying, she said. One can't believe impossible things. I dare say you haven't had much practice, said the Queen. When I was your age, I always did it for half an hour a day. Why, sometimes I've believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. So when you dare to dream, look at the marvelous things that can be accomplished. Alice didn't want to dream. She was going to allow the conditions of life to stifle her. Just one more quick little short story. I want to talk about fleas. It was discovered many years ago that fleas, if you put them in a shoebox and you put the lid on the box, fleas would jump up, because fleas jump, and they'd hit the top of that box. And you could hear them. And then pretty soon, after they hit it X number of times, they stopped jumping quite so high. They didn't stop jumping. They would jump just a little bit shy of hitting that lid. And then it turns out that you can take that lid, once these fleas are trained to do that, you can take that lid off the box. And the fleas will continue to jump. But they won't jump out of the box. They can't jump out of the box. Because their conditioning is such that it's permanent. They've been conditioned not to jump out of that box. So my charge to us is, let's don't fall for that conditioning. Let's don't do that to ourselves. Let's follow that dream. Let's be like Alice or like the Queen. So I just want to leave you with this. Sing your song. Dance your dance. Dream your dream. And don't worry about the space that seems to be there between your dream and reality. Because once you start that dance, the space is going to disappear. It's just going to go away. Because that's what space does when it gets in the way of our dreams. So I just wish you the very best pursuit of your dream. God bless you. So it is.